Zeke, did you get all green Skittles? Did you get all the green Skittles out of there? He only likes the green ones. Okay, he only likes the green ones.
I did.
Okay,
I made sure, and I made sure that all of the shoes were facing due east.
Okay, good.
They have to be facing due east.
Right, that was in the right.
His socks have to be laid out in like a perfect X shape.
Right.
Or he is out. He won't do the show. And so I made sure.
Yeah.
I was a little surprised for the request for the red sequin pumps on the goat, but I'm not here to judge.
He knows how he likes his goats.
Whatever makes you feel comfortable.
Yeah.
How hard it was to find shoes that fit a goat.
Where do you even go for that?
Man,
is there like a superstore for goat shoes?
I don't want to talk about it.
Okay.
I had to do.
Didn't you have to have a guy in
weird
Alabama
stuff.
or something? I don't. Yeah.
It involved the dark web and a meeting in a parking garage. It was a whole thing.
Okay. All right. Well, let's hope it goes all right. Co, what episode are we on?
I didn't see that.
Yeah. Let's hope he's not. I think he's still asleep. I mean, he needs to be asleep. Have you seen the guy? Jeez. Co, what episode are we on?
10.
The big 10. I think this is going somewhere. I think we've found something, guys. It seems like it's going to work out.
The chemistry between us is undeniable. And we've got some good banter. We all got different ideas about gaming and different tastes of what we like. I think it's going to go somewhere. I really do.
Okay. Good. I actually watched the first episode. It was funny because Co didn't talk at all. Anytime that I was skimming through the episode, it was me or Zeke talking. Co didn't say anything.
I can talk about this now. First few episodes, I was really nervous. Really nervous. You guys, but at that point, were some of the first big streamers I had been in public with, and I'm normally a super solo guy, so I didn't want to step on any toes, didn't want to interrupt or make anyone angry. And now these days, the guys start talking, I'm like, well, actually, as they're talking.
The funny thing is that I think I was just as nervous as you, but my reaction to nerves is to just babble.
Just to talk.
Is to just blather on and on until someone tells me to shut the fuck up.
That's true.
We were all nervous and just playing out our nervousness in various different ways.
That's
Meanwhile,
all
JP
streaming is.
Had professional face on, I'm sure. You were probably leading the charge at that point. So, yeah.
I don't remember. There was probably some nerves, but it was more I hope this tech, because I think we had tech issues the first handful of shows. Because I was using XSplit at the time.
Probably, yeah.
And XSplit was probably just held together by glue and string and just breaking apart. So there's probably tech issues that I was worried about. But yeah, I'm sure it's fine.
Is there, okay, I'll be curious to see at your wedding and stuff, because that's a high pressure situation and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I've ever seen you. I've seen you upset. I've seen you salty. Seen you tilted.
Sure.
I don't know if I've ever seen you rattled.
All different forms of the same thing, kind of.
No, but I'm saying I don't think I've ever seen you rattled, as in nervous or,
I have a pretty good
so
poker
confident
face.
that everything's going to be fine.
That's just my poker face. That's definitely at all times, there's always a sense of anxiety and nervousness underlying everything. Even right now, just by saying this, the big tell, Zeke, I'll tell you, if my face turns red, that's when shit has hit the fan internally, and I'm grasping for air. Yeah.
Oh wow.
That's the big tell. That's the big tell.
Okay.
I like as you say that, your face was just getting more and more flesh.
See? Because it became the focus of everything. So
JP is a chameleon that only works with one color.
It's true.
I'm wondering if we go back to your first time doing interviews of esports people. You're sitting there, you're talking to them and stuff like that. I wonder if we can see just your face go.
You want to see my? I shouldn't do. Have you ever seen? I'll show you right now. I know exactly what the first interview is. I gotta find it though. It's funny enough. I was working for Scoots at the time.
How the tables have turned.
Yeah. Now he doesn't really work for me. I still work for Scott. We all still work for Scott. I'm trying to.
He's off doing his own hosted show now and everything. My lord, super well produced, and
it's true.
Man,
all right,
very
let's
cool.
see. I think that this is it. Hold on. This is one of them at least. Also, I have a shaved head. Let's just get that out of the way. There's a shaved head in this. It's really rough.
I'm wondering what your dome looks like.
It looks bad.
Is it lumpy? Is it bumpy?
So this Lopsided? Is an EG, myeg.net production, sponsored by Intel. It's first ever thing. This is MLG Anaheim 2011, maybe? This is like the second or third interview that I did. I can't find the first. Here we go. You want to hear the audio? Jesus Christ.
Is that a Killer Nick sponsorship?
Probably.
I remember those.
This is JP McDaniel from Team EG. I'm here with Dan.
Yeah, I've got this way.
One of the new members of Team EG. And
oh my God, dude! Stop. There you go.
Dude,
I just do this way.
There was a fraction of a second where I was like, when is it going to be you? Like, when are you going to be in this?
A lot of new teams there, a lot of new faces. It was kind of a very new season for all the teams there. You know, we'd been without a tournament for
wow.
So in the first one that I did with the Zale, it's not present here. That sway stuff, for some reason, that's where my nervousness manifested during that. And so during the entire interview, I'm just doing this. And I remember...
No, I get the mic. Look, you can see the mic. The mic is going in and out.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember getting a text from... I forget who it was at EG, but the text was in all caps and it was "Stop fucking swaying," because I saw some of the test footage, or like the footage that was sent back.
You look like you are going to fucking stomp that guy that you're interviewing.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
It looks
I do look pretty upset.
You're forced to interview him, knowing that he screwed your sister. You're like, you got to do your job, but you're like, motherfucker, you screwed my sister. I know you did.
Oh god. Yeah. Those are all on YouTube if you want to watch. Just search MLG Orlando EG interviews or something like that. You could. There's 4 or 5 of them, but yeah. That's some of the first ever content that I was a part of for sure.
I also like at the very beginning, you're talking
That's
and you're getting ready to ask a question.
By the way, sorry.
You're doing this, and then you tilt the mic at him. I'm like, is he gonna get the mic close to him? And then you keep talking. You just move the mic away from your face when you're not talking.
Oh, I had no idea what I was doing.
So, anyways, you're gonna in that last match, you were gonna be. I saw you were getting crushed by the competition.
Yeah.
And then you wanted to get into the jungle. And then eventually you were like, now I put it over. Like, you faked him out like 3 times.
Dude, I had no idea what I was doing. That was first time ever interviewing someone on camera and probably live as well. First time interviewing everyone like face to face. So 2008, man, 12 years ago. I'm old as a motherfucker. I think I was like 22. I was 22 there, I think. Maybe 20. If I'm 33 now, I was 21. There we go. Math.
Okay.
We did it. We did it. Anyways, weird start to the show, but
yeah, the beard and the hair make you look like way more approachable. It makes you look way more approachable.
That's
like if I saw that JP walking down, I'd be like, I know him, but I'm not gonna say the first word. I'm gonna let him say hi first because he doesn't look like he wants to talk to nobody.
Yeah, makes sense. I got that a lot. What were we going to say, Co?
Funny story. You mentioned you were 28 years old. Not going to lie here. I don't know how this escaped me. I don't know why I thought this.
Mm-hmm.
I was fully under the impression that Troy Baker was like late 20s, early 30s.
No, that guy's like 64.
I think he's like, I ended up looking it up because I didn't want to be like, I do a little research before our guests, especially this may come on the show. He's like early 40s.
Oh, yeah.
The dude looks like how do you do that?
I don't know.
How do you do that?
He's got good genes.
I had no idea. Like every time I've seen a picture of him, he's like super stylish. He's got like a nice haircut and he's with all these. I had no idea. No idea. That blew me away.
Yeah.
I seriously did a double take.
We'll have to ask him his skincare routine. We'll ask him the hard hitting questions.
Yeah.
What he
Crazy,
does
man. Crazy.
To keep his skin so luxurious, for sure. It's a good one.
Okay, good. I feel better looking at chat right now.
Is everyone else freaking out?
I thought he was like 30 at most. That's exactly where I was. I was like, oh man, this like younger guy's coming on and he's gonna be so famous, and like here are us old guys like interviewing him.
That's fine.
Oh man,
I bet it's clean living. He seems like a clean living kind of guy. He seems like the kind of a guy, like, I'll probably ask him this, but seems like a guy who would, like, he'd drink one scotch and then he'd drink a glass of water and then have one more scotch and that's it.
That's it.
He'd call it and be like, I'm going home.
Maybe.
Never smoked cigarettes, never done like
he doesn't
heavy drugs or anything. Like,
I know for sure he smoked because he talks about it in some of the videos.
Oh, really? He did.
He doesn't smoke anymore,
wow.
but he did at the time. Like during all of The Last of Us, he smoked because they used to take smoke breaks after each recording. This sounds really stalkerish now that I'm saying this, but he used to take smoke
I mean, if he's
breaks.
talked about it, no. It'd be another thing if you were like, well, whenever I'd watch him come out of the building when he was recording Last of Us.
Yeah. So
he also whistles while he goes to the bathroom.
I have
things in the shower.
I have heard that, if you know what I'm saying.
He washes his feet first in the shower. Weird.
Okay. That's really weird. That's really weird. Where do you guys want to begin? I guess we can kind of start with the news since we'll probably be talking games towards the end. I don't know if there's that much news. GDC was canceled. That's not necessarily something that we talk about too much, but I know that developers everywhere, that's a huge blow for sure. GDC is the annual event for...
It was moved.
Well, yes.
Yeah.
Postponed is the official wording. What that actually means...
Yeah.
They're trying to make it happen this summer, I think is the thing with that. And now that just immediately turned my eyes to when that happened, when they said that they were postponing it, it made me think, is TwitchCon Europe going to happen? And is E3 actually going to happen? Because TwitchCon Europe is in April, so we're about a month and change away from that. And then E3 is June, and we're about 3 months away from that. So I don't know. I guess we'll see.
GDC stands for Game Development Conference, right? Or something like that?
Yeah. It happens in San Francisco. It's the biggest collection of game devs every year. Kind of like insider industry type stuff. There are panels and things like that, and every once in a while things are announced there. But most of the time it's just for like developers to go hang out with other developers and talk shop and that type of stuff. But yeah, it was canceled. It was kind of interesting how it happened because basically every major gaming company said that they were not attending. And then on Friday at like 4 or 5 p.m., they finally announced that they were that they were going to postpone it. So I wonder if we'll start to see the same as E3 gets closer and closer of people just saying like, yeah, we're not going to fly people from around the world to this giant conference so that everyone gets sick and then brings it back to the studios. And then just our progress on our current games just halts, right? Like it's an actual major deal. So we'll see. And same for Twitch. Like Zeke, you're going to TwitchCon Europe, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Are you at all worried about contracting the coronavirus while traveling? Or are you just saying, fuck it?
I'm minorly, I guess, but like, nah.
Yeah.
I'm not super worried about it personally.
What would be your
You're
reaction?
definitely not in the target risk demographic.
Yeah, it's just a really bad flu.
Yeah.
What would if they canceled it, Zeke? Would you understand? Would you be upset? What were your thoughts be on that?
I totally get it.
Yeah,
I totally get it. I mean, like, it's widespread enough, and mortality rate of it is variable depending on the location and depending on the health and age of the person who contracts it and stuff like that. So I've heard anywhere from like 2% to 8% mortality rate, which isn't like, bubonic plague levels, but that's still like, 8 people out of 100 who get it are going to die.
Yeah.
That kind of shit. So it's mildly scary, but if they cancel it, I would totally understand that. I would get it. We'll go next year. It'll be fine. I hope it's back in Amsterdam because I really want to visit Amsterdam.
Yeah.
I've blocked out time to actually see the city and do stuff.
To actually travel instead of just going to a convention center somewhere.
Right?
Yeah. That's important. Well, we'll see.
Yeah. It's a pretty crazy situation. Like the problem is like it's there's like 2 different camps. There's we need to worry about this and be super prepared for it. And there's also the everyone's overreacting, calm the hell down camp.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to figure out like where you're supposed to be in the middle of them. Like if you're immunocompromised, it can be a big deal. Or if you're older or very young or around very young people or very old people. But yeah, it's wild, man. It's just a very weird situation. Last
Yeah.
I saw, yeah, for those talking in chat, last they said it was 3%. But then again, like
It changes.
it's really misleading when most of the people getting affected are in the demographic that are most affected. So it's kind of like they were talking about the Seattle. There's a Seattle rest home that has a lot of people getting affected, and it's spreading through the rest home. They're like all the at-risk demographic. The numbers came out, and there was like, this many people affected, and this many dead, and everyone was like, "Oh my god, that's crazy!" But it's like everyone getting hit are the like worst people to be getting hit by it. So it's kind of super misleading. So yeah, I don't know. It's wild. It's wild.
It's definitely wild.
Very few young people have gotten it, which is great. That's good.
Right. It's definitely wild to see the world / nation kind of respond to it. You go on social media or anywhere and just see photos of people buying like 3 years supply of toilet paper. Or if you go to like, I think people were going to Home Depot, and Home Depot was still sold out of the hand sanitizer stuff. So it's crazy.
Can we crush this right now? Wash your hands. Hand sanitizer is antibacterial.
It still helps, though.
The coronavirus is a virus.
It still helps.
Sure, it's fine. I'm not saying it's bad to use hand sanitizer. I'm saying wash your fucking hands. Hand sanitizer does not take the place of washing your hands.
Also, two things. They confirmed that the type of cell, whatever, that the coronavirus is 100% affected by soap. Like, soap does kill it. And also, don't be one of those people that turns on the sink, puts some soap on their hands, and goes, rinse, 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 done. Sing the ABCs. Sing the ABCs. That's also, how you know if you've washed your hands enough. Like, with soap, like, sing the ABCs,
also,
and then you're good.
The most important thing, don't drink Corona beer at all.
Yeah.
This stream is not held accountable for anything.
I mean, you'd have to be crazy to do that these days. Like, I mean, it's right there on the bottle. It says it on the name. It says it on the bottle.
Like,
God, to think people still do that.
Yeah.
Listen, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying hand sanitizer is bad. I'm not saying don't use it. I'm saying washing your hands is more important.
Yes, man. The amount of the times I traveled, I went back to San Antonio last Thursday, Friday, and going into the airport restroom and just watching people use the restroom and just walk out was fucking infuriating. Not even speaking about the people just like sitting at the gate sneezing and not even caring where their snot goes while they're sitting there sneezing, talking on the phone. Going into the restroom is the scariest thing at the airport because people just walk out. They don't even like go near the sink. They just like look at it and scoff and then walk out with their fucking piss and shit stained hands out into the world to go eat and drink and shake hands and pass tickets off to it's man. You wonder how that stuff spreads so fast. Just go to the airport bathroom and you'll understand a lot. Makes a lot of sense. So yeah. Anyways, random tangent. Hopefully everyone else everyone watching is safe out there. Wash your hands. That's the most important thing. We'll
wash your hands. Wash your hands. Wash your face. And do your best not to touch your nose or mouth or any of that stuff.
Yeah, those are the big things for sure.
Don't poop.
Or use the bathroom.
Yes. Just hold it all in. You got a month. All right. Suck it up.
Find an empty bottle, a nice quiet corner, do your business. Hopefully in private if you can. But whatever. We can all have what we want.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Did you well, this is the last thing because it's relevant to us as all three of us have beards. Did you guys see the thing that you're supposed to shave your beard if it gets really dire? Because the beard can collect the potential germs and be a harbor for them, especially if you're wearing the mask, if you are sick, because it can't form a proper seal around your face. So, yeah.
Yep.
It's rough. Luckily, we're all protected because we're streamers. We don't go anywhere. We just stay inside the house. So
I was just going to mention that, like, I leave the house like once a week to go pick up my UPS packages. The rest of the time, like, I used to leave for groceries. Now I don't even fucking do that. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
I'm just super glad I don't have a small vector leaving the house and going to mingle with other small vectors and coming back every day. Oh my God.
That's where I'm most scared as well. Cause we have a larger vector, but still small, going into it's scary. It's scary. It's rough. Anyways, video games. Hey, did you guys watch this Half-Life Alyx gameplay stuff? I did, and god damn does it look good. Zeke, did you see any of this?
I've not seen any of it, no.
All right, this is some Half-Life Alyx. There's 3 videos out. This is the longest one. This is the VR game from Valve coming out later this month, about 19 days from now. It looks really good.
I watched just enough of it to be like, I am so sold on this. And then and then I went off.
Uh-oh.
I got this thing, my new wireless mic.
Oh, nice.
It's gonna be, dude, I'm so excited. Yeah, Rowan.
he's coming to give you the corona.
Apparently, my son has to show me something.
Okay,
so I'll be back in.
Okay,
okay.
Do your thing, Zeke. What are you getting from this footage?
I'm not sure
looks like
yet.
a turkey. It looks like a turkey.
Of course it does. Headcrabs have always looked like turkeys.
Yeah, but it has like the feeling of turkeyness on it.
Okay, so it's a teleport game.
There's
like
3 different
VR
types
teleport.
of movement. In each of the videos, they show the different types of movement. There's the teleport. There's the walking around, which I think just use like the thumbstick. And then there's the sliding. So when you click it, or when you like teleport, it slides you to that place. So there's 3 different types of movement for it.
Now, do they explain the gloves that you're wearing? Like
No,
okay.
I don't think they did. It was more just like in gameplay, like a slice of the game.
I'm wondering if that is like a justification for the VR, so it seems more immersive. So when you see like your disembodied hands coming out of you, like those gloves have a reason or something.
Yeah.
Like honestly, the first thing that popped in my head was like, okay, you're playing someone who is controlling some sort of android or some sort of like robot or something like that. And those hands are like magnetically connected to it. So it makes sense that they're disembodied or something like that.
Yeah. I think you're playing Alyx, right? Like that.
I think so.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying, I'm just wondering if there's a justification for the disembodied hands or they're just going to like, you're just going to have to be okay with that kind of a thing.
Yeah. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I know that I watched, man, we're getting into some heavy VR talk. I watched in a couple of VR videos where they were talking about like physics and the way that your brain interprets everything in VR. And apparently if you have arms attached like to the hands,
yeah,
if you do this, it's super immersion breaking because then your arms are just ginormous. Like it's not true to life. So this is the proper way to do it. Even though they're floaty hands, like it works for your brain to be immersed in it a little bit better.
I'm pretty
I
sure
figured
they
as
did
much.
Full arms in Asgard's Wrath, or whatever that VR thing that I played it was. And what's also really strange is if you hold your arms out and you like turn your arms or hands in unnatural ways, because they're attached to the arm, it'll look completely awkward. Like at one point, I dropped one of my controllers and it was spinning. So I held out my arm and my hand was literally spinning 360 degrees at the end of my arm in a circle. So all sorts of weirdness. They don't join properly. It can't track your elbows. So yeah, it's just, yeah.
I get it.
I did. It was Until Dawn Rush of Blood, which is like an on rails VR horror shooter game.
Right.
And they had your arms were like circus, like stretchy arms. And they would go like way out in front of you.
Yeah.
It was a little ridiculous, but it fit that game particularly.
Yeah. Yeah. This type of stuff looks cool. Like I love the fact that you can get a pipe like he just did and then use that pipe as some sort of deterrent to someone. Like it makes it feel more real. Whereas if like in a video game, you pick up the pipe and then you drop the pipe and the pipe like falls into the world or sinks into the world. You could use it as some sort of physical item. So it seems like they kind of have all those different notches and all those different aspects of keeping it immersive and feeling real, so to speak, in there, which is cool to see.
Where does it fit in the storyline?
Happens between Half-Life 1 and 2.
Okay.
So I'm assuming
before episode 3, right?
No, I think it's before Half-Life 2 completely. Like I don't think she's met Gordon in the game yet.
When does episode 3 happen in the Half-Life 1 2?
After, episode. Are you saying episode 3? Episode 3 never happened.
I mean, episode. No, there was Half-Life 1, Half-Life 2, and then there was
episode 1, and then episode 2.
Episode 1.
Yeah.
Okay, and when does that one happen?
Episode 1 takes place right after Half-Life 2.
Okay.
And then
so
episode 2 takes place right after
Half-Life 1, Half-Life Alyx, Half-Life 2 Episode 1.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. There's no 3. They can't count the 3 at Valve. That's forbidden. Yeah. There's 2 more gameplay videos. They're about 4 minutes and 2 minutes respectively. I guess we can show the third one because that one shows a little bit of the gunplay, which looks very fun.
They shown any of the videos? Are they only doing warp for movement?
Each video has 3 different types of movement. We were talking about this when
I only saw one of them.
Yeah. This is the sliding. The second video shows just pure walking with like a directional pad. This is the sliding movement thing. The thing that I think a lot of people, like I had to remind myself that in this particular thing, in the physical world, he's crouching, right? Like you're sitting like physically crouching. So I'm curious to see how long this takes for streamers to play through it. Because we're not necessarily the most physical bunch. We might be pretty tired after about 2 or 3 hours of this. I guess we'll see how it goes. I like that he's like, there's a bunch of moments where he'll pull the door out, like right here. The door kind of pulls out and he uses that as a sort of shield. And he's kind of bobbing, weaving, hiding behind it. That stuff is really cool to see. And then,
that's how you get the virus. Come on, man.
True. Yeah, he just caught a grenade, or he will catch a grenade and throw it back to them in midair. That's kind of cool to see that type of stuff. It looks fun. Like the gunplay looks really good. It seems they've thought about a lot of different ways to do this in VR. Also, the noise.
I really hope they're thinking about the preview, because a lot of times VR stuff, like the preview looks great here. I'm hoping that this is going to be the same preview we have access to when it comes out.
Yeah. I would think that Valve would. Well, I don't know.
They've been kind of hit and miss with it.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I know that VR games, more recent releases of VR games have gotten pretty good with it. Like Walking Dead and Bone Hands? No. Whatever the other big game is. Boneworks, yes. Boneworks.
Bonesaw's ready.
Bonesaw's ready. Yeah, they both have like pretty good capture for it. It's been pretty close, pretty 1-to-1. So yeah, it looks good. I'm excited for it. I hope they don't really show any more of it apart from these 3 videos. Because I want to be, it's the type of stuff where like VR tricks are fun when you discover them for yourself rather than seeing them in a video. And I think we saw enough tricks to make it, to get people interested, hopefully.
Like right there, she just picked up a syringe and like injected it into the gun to load it. I can only imagine without people seeing that. They were like, what do I do with this? Do I stab myself? Do I, how?
Yeah. It'll be a lot of fun for sure. That comes out on the 23rd. I also saw something that I think on March the 10th that Valve is going to put a bunch more indexes up for sale because they've been sold out since early February. So if you're looking to spend $1,000 on VR equipment, I think next Monday might be your best bet to grab an index, but they're going to go super fucking quick. As they, everyone's trying to get in on the latest and greatest VR stuff and prep for Alyx. What else was out of there? Did you play the remake demo for Final Fantasy VII? Are you saving it?
Not yet.
Okay.
I think I'd like to at some point, but no, I've been completely lost in RimWorld and Beautiful Desolation, and I just haven't had time yet.
I played it a little, or I played all of it. It only took me about an hour yesterday. It's good. It's really good. The conversation that I had with my stream was there's a fine line, especially, and I didn't think about this when I was playing the original Final Fantasy VII last week. Final Fantasy VII Remake is in large part anticipated because Final Fantasy VII is like one of the most well-known, widely celebrated, and popular JRPGs in gaming history, right? So nostalgia is a huge fuel for the experience of what that remake is and what that remake's trying to deliver. And so my biggest question as I was playing through it is like, am I enjoying this because nostalgia is making me enjoy this, or because this is an actually good game? And I think I've settled on both are true, but the bigger question for me is, if people who have never played Final Fantasy VII play this, will they enjoy it? And a lot of people in chat said that they have not played it and they did enjoy it. So I guess by that, notion that it's probably a pretty good game, but I guess we'll see. I'll pull up some footage of it. I don't want to show too much, but if you played Final Fantasy VII, like you kind of know how it's going to go. It's not like they're really pulling any punches or hiding anything with that. But
I saw an article from like someone I don't know who it is. I can't remember. I'm guessing it's a game journalist or something like that, who was like completely overwhelmed by the combat or something, and it was like too much shit thrown at you all at once.
Really?
Something like that.
It is. The combat is. It's real time, but it pauses. Like, it's weird. It's one of those things where when I was first told how it works, I was like, that doesn't sound that good. Like, either go full action RPG combat style stuff, kind of like Kingdom Hearts, or I guess full would be like Devil May Cry. Kingdom Hearts is a little bit pulled back from that. Or go like turn-based. But it works. Like, we'll get into a fight here pretty soon. Basically, the game loop is you get into a fight, you build up your ATB meter. Once your ATB meter reaches a threshold, then you can kind of slow-mo / pause the game and pull up your abilities menu. And then you can choose different things to like cast fire or use a thing called full thrust, which uses stagger. If you remember Final Fantasy V, it kind of has a similar stagger system that it did in that game. And in doing that, you build the ATB meter up, use an ability, ATB meter goes down, you continue fighting. That's the gameplay loop. And each character has like a different special thing to them. Cloud's is that he has like a heavy attack by pressing, I think it's triangle. It'll swap all of his attacks to like a stronger attack, a heavy attack. Barrett is the ranged character, at least in the demo. I think Aerith will also be ranged, obviously because she's a magic user. And Tifa is a monk, like a brawler. So I think she builds the stagger meter faster, although she wasn't in this and I've not played her. But yeah, I don't know. It seems fine. The music is phenomenal. That was probably my biggest takeaway. There are multiple times where I had to like stop and just listen to the music. I think that's what I'm talking about right now in this particular portion of the VOD. And yeah, graphically, it looks really good. I think Digital Foundry said it runs at like 1610 or 16.5p natively at 30 FPS. So pretty high quality game in terms of what they're actually able to push out on the PS4 Pro. I'll probably end up playing this in 4K. Apparently it runs at upscaled 4K 30 pretty well. But yeah, it looks good. I don't know. I want to play more. I'm interested to see when Ko gets his hands on it, what he thinks. And also Zeke, you don't, like we talked about this last week. You don't have any interest in playing this, right?
Minor. I have a minor interest in playing this.
Okay.
I'm just does it make you miss the turn-based or not?
No.
Okay.
Nothing about this makes me long for something else.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
No, that absolutely makes sense.
Yeah. Like I didn't find myself playing this saying like, oh God, I wish they had this in there. It was more like, oh shit, that swing, like I crushed that dude. That felt really good. I pressed a button, the screen shaked, Cloud dashed forward and slashed the fuck out of that guy. That was sick. I want to see more. Like that was kind of my general feeling on everything. But again, that might be nostalgia, right? Because 20 years or something like 23 years that I've known of this game, and the idea of like Cloud being this badass guy wielding a sword has infiltrated almost every video game / anime / whatever since then. It's kind of one of the bigger references to go back to like guy wearing big sword or using big sword, right? It's just a cool thing. And Barrett, guy walking around with gun on his hand, that type of shit. For me, for my mind, like that was the start of all this, of what was possible when it came to characters and games, and they seem to be fleshing that stuff out. Barrett sounds. You guys ever watch Eastbound and Down? You guys know what that is on HBO?
No, I haven't. No.
Have you seen the clip of Will Ferrell as the car salesman talking about his plums?
Yes.
Barrett sounds like Will Ferrell. Like and I mean that in a good way. Like, it sounds like A little bit like Will Ferrell talking about how he feels it in his plums and let the boy watch. And yeah, you need to watch that YouTube thing if you haven't seen that yet. Zeke, it's funny as fuck.
Okay.
But
okay.
yeah, and he's supposed to be like Mr. T, I think is what they were going for. But for me, I got Will Ferrell and that. So yeah,
I heard can you switch to classic mode, like turn-based mode?
Yeah, I did not do
or is that hearsay and conjecture?
There's normal. I think there's easy is one of the options. Then there's classic mode, which I think is, I didn't go to that, so I can't speak to exactly what it is. I think it is just straight up turn-based. I'm not 100% certain.
Classic is auto, not turn-based. Okay.
Yeah, so people in my chat are saying classic is not turn-based. It basically puts the game on easy. It's not the same as the old game.
Oh.
Okay.
So
Lysonian, a regular says classic was pretty bad when Dan was playing with.
Gotcha. That was one of those things I didn't test for sure. I only played through it once.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, appreciate that. So, yeah, I'm sold. Like I was already sold. I was already going to play it, but this is definitely one of those things where I'm excited to play it, but I'm also bummed out because of where I know this is going to only, like it's episode 1, right? Like it's going to end when you get out of Midgar, maybe when you get to like the first city of, when you get into Calm or whatever, right outside of Midgar.
Also, one thing that's also kind of been bugging me a little bit is, have they announced at all how the flow between the episodes are going to go?
No.
Because if it's not like Mass Effect did it really well. You make a bunch of choices, make a bunch of decisions, you get a bunch of items specifically, and then when you load into the next game, based on what was in your inventory, based on what you accomplished, like it would change that game. Final Fantasy VII is going to feel very strange if you do like a whole bunch of grinding in the first one, like a whole bunch of great, awesome items and stuff, and then you start the next episode like from scratch. You know, like one big thing about Final Fantasy VII I love so much is it felt like one giant story. Kind of like that the discussions we've had on this show about how you just kind of live in a game for a while. And if all that progress doesn't transition properly between the different episodes, it's going to have a real big effect on how this game feels as a whole.
Yeah, it will. And one of the other things too, someone, I forget who, I was watching a video where they were playing the demo and talking about it. They brought up the point of wondering if there's going to be a disconnect of people buying this and thinking that it's the full game. Because it's not called Final Fantasy VII Remake Episode 1. It's simply called Final Fantasy VII Remake. So that would imply that it is the full game. So like, having heard that, it makes me think if people are going to be upset, like there's some people in the chat, maybe they're joking, but they're saying like, wait, it's not the full game. like that in itself seems, and that's not my thought. I want to be fully clear. I did not come upon this realization. Someone else came up on it and it made me realize like, oh fuck, that's true.
No, dude, that's a really, really good point. Like, are they going to call the next one Final Fantasy Remake 2?
Right.
Or Final Fantasy Remake Episode 2? And if they were to add an addendum to it, how would they not think to do that on the first one?
Yeah.
How would they not make it be Final Fantasy Remake Episode 1, Final Fantasy VII Remake Midgard?
Yeah.
Or, you know, like, because it's fine. It is called just like they've officially announced it's just Final Fantasy VII Remake, right? Like that's it.
Yep.
Is it coming out episodically, or is this just like a taste?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know it was coming out episodically.
Yeah. See, there's another. Yeah.
Yeah. This in the entire Final Fantasy VII Remake that we're going to be able to buy is essentially like the first. JP, help me out here. 20 to 30% of the actual game.
I'd say third. Yeah. Act 1.
Yeah.
Of,
so
of
it's basically like in Final Fantasy VII, you escape the area that you're going to complete in here, and then there's like a huge rest of the game. There's a huge amount more locations, more story. Like some of the most iconic events happen in that portion. So the Final Fantasy VII Remake isn't going to even touch a lot of like the memories that we have from the original.
Yeah. So I don't know. Like, I don't know how they get around that. It seems kind of like a marketing issue in the making. Where
how much was it?
$60. This is the demo for the full game's not out till April 10th, I think, off the top of my head.
Man, there's so many people like saying so many different things in both chats right now.
Yeah.
Like another big thing is, are you gonna have to buy each edition? Because what's the price of Remake? It's a
This
full
is a
price
$60
game, right?
game, full price game.
So are they going to actually like be charging people a full price game for like 3 different portions of Final Fantasy VII?
I think
Like
so.
$180?
I think so.
Are you just going to get them for free because it's all under the same umbrella?
I don't think so.
Fuck you. Fuck you. Really?
But let's be clear. Like this is
hilarious,
not
though.
they're saying this is not a 5 to 6 hour game. This is like a 30
no,
to
no.
50 hour experience. Yeah.
It's a full game from what we're
Yeah.
understanding.
Let's be very clear about that.
There's going to be
get
a
that.
lot of game here. It's just not. They're basically taking a smaller portion of 7 and they're growing it out to become an updated full game experience, which is cool and that's great. But it's just like, how are we going to see the rest of the game? Are we going to have like 3 full 60-hour-ish games for each section? I mean, that'd be kind of cool. You could like play them all back to back and have like some epic experience. I mean, that's cool, but it's very surprising they haven't talked about that at this point.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it is. It is
I did not know that either.
It is very
okay. Well, yeah, again,
Well,
lots of people saying different things, but some people are saying they've already announced that's exactly how it's going to be.
Okay.
Okay. But wait,
But
have they
that's
announced
the other
it's gonna be
question
3
that-
different games?
They've
The other
announced
question that gets brought up is once they release the like episode 1 or whatever.
Yeah.
Is it going to be like years before the next one comes out?
I don't know.
Yeah.
It would have to be. I mean, they've worked on this for what? 3 years? 2
Wow.
years?
Now the good news is I'm sure a big portion of the development of what we're getting was the mechanics, making sure everything worked properly, getting the default art style downs and everything. So, I mean, theoretically, the rest of the games would take less time to make. But I mean, this one, they've been working on this for how long now?
2 or 3 years.
It's been years they've been working on this one.
It was announced in,
so even in a best
announced
case,
in
we're talking a
2015?
couple years.
Yeah, dude.
Jeez, I forgot about that. It's been 5 years since they announced this at that E3
Oh, that's true, yeah.
Sony conference.
But it did, from what we understood, though, they were kind of public about the fact that it kind of went through a few different phases of creation as they were kind of nailing down what they were going to do and everything. So hopefully, at least a couple of those years will be shaved off in the next iteration.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Here's the other interesting thing about this game. This is kind of a streamer perspective on it. As a streamer, we're involved, and specifically as variety streamers, we're all involved in like a wide variety of fan bases, and we get to see how aggressive they are, or how passionate is the PR word, they are about their specific game and their specific title. There were people like screaming at me yesterday, and not super aggressive, but people that were like, dude, you missed a box back there. Like, are you 100% in this demo? Like, what the fuck is this playthrough? Like, you got to go get that box. It's like, guys, this demo means I'm not getting shit in the main game for doing this demo. It's like, bro, you got to keep talking to her. You missed one line of dialogue. And like, if they're that passionate about a stream of a demo of a game, I can only imagine if Square fucks up somehow and like doesn't launch the second episode, or there's something wrong in the game, how rabid that fan base will be on social media. Like, it's going to be astronomically passionate.
I don't think unfollowing you is going to do it justice. Is there a dislike button somewhere? Can I like flag your
Twitter
stream? Is
to
it
introduce a
appropriate?
dislike button on tweets. That's the power of the Final Fantasy VII fandom for sure. So I'm very excited for the game. I think I might be a little bit more excited for the response of the game after like all the dust is settled, and when people have finished their 60-hour playthroughs of this and want more, and then they're kind of just stuck waiting for another $60 full release 2 or 3 years down the line. The other thing too is 2 or 3 years down the line from now means that's going to be on a new console, right? So how many people are going to be playing this on PS4 that necessarily can't drop a $400 or $500 or whatever the price of the PS5 is 2 or 3 years down the line and don't get in on episode 2? Like, that's another thing to consider.
Man.
Unless
Wild.
this is going to be on PC due to like some exclusivity stuff, which may or may not be true. I haven't seen anything official on that. So I don't know. There's a lot of questions about this that I'm curious to see if, years down the line, how it goes for sure. but it is good. I enjoy the demo a lot. It's free. You can grab it right now if you have a PS4. Looks great, plays great, music's great. And apparently, if you don't have an affinity for Final Fantasy VII, the demo is not worse or anything like that. It's still good. So we'll see how it goes.
You get it. You probably didn't get far enough to get to like summoning things in battle or whatever.
There are no summons. Have they shown in the demo? There are summons in the game though. Yeah, there's multiple summons in the game.
That was always my favorite part.
Yeah, and I'm curious how they're going to work. I think they've probably talked about it a little bit, but it is going to be like, how are they going to tie that into a story in terms of like summoning the god of fire Ifrit? Or do you just find the materia and then all of a sudden, like, here's Ifrit on the battlefield? Like, how does that work? I don't know if they're going to like add in some time to flesh that story out.
Good question.
Or yeah, like, of course, Knights of the Round, the famously 30-minute summon from the base game. Like, is that going to be in there? What does that look like? Do you have 12 knights?
It better be.
Yeah.
Oh God, I love that thing. Dude, just activating that materia was just satisfying. Like you could just put down the controller and just be like, oh, here we go.
Yeah. I don't know.
Loved it.
We'll see. Demo's out now. You can grab it. Main game comes out $60 on April 10th. I don't think there's really any other big news. Oh, wait, the Baldur's Gate 3 stuff. You want to talk about that, Co? Because I know that a lot of people really enjoy talking about how they're ruining the game. It was.
I watched the entire thing.
I don't think there was live. Any good way for that to come out. Like,
yeah. Go ahead, Co.
Dude, I watched the entire thing the next morning, on stream. That's what I should have said, not live, but on stream.
Yeah.
Here's what I got to say about it. Baldur's Gate 3 is what happens when you give a company that made 2 super successful, amazing games, the Baldur's Gate franchise, and you say, hey, based off what you've done, make us a new Baldur's Gate game. I think it looks phenomenal. I loved everything I saw. I think it was Baldur's Gate it's Baldur's Gate spirit in Larian framework, which I'd be kind of surprised if people were expecting a lot different. I think that's one of the reasons that Larian was pinged in the first place, was because they wanted to take Baldur's Gate and put it in the Larian framework. So I think it looks amazing. I think turn-based makes a lot of sense considering its D&D background, because that's how D&D works anyway. And one of the reasons they did real time with pause back in the day was because they wanted to make it feel kind of more like a game. And now these days it's kind of like, great, now that we've kind of jumped that hurdle and we can just make design decisions, let's do turn-based. It works great as turn-based from the looks of it. I love the voice acting. I love the characters. That intro cinematic was awesome.
Yeah.
I don't like with the Nautilus and everything and the ships. I really like the premise that everyone has these like time bombs in their head and they have to figure out how to deal with it. I liked everything I saw about it. I loved seeing the malleability of terrains and element types from DOS 2 being brought into Baldur's Gate. I think that's going to do nothing but add to it. I really liked how they brought in all those new actions. Those were never in DOS 2, like being able to leap and being able to push and like all these interesting things.
All the 5e actions, yeah.
Dude, the only thing I have, the TLDR, I loved everything I saw. I can't wait to see the final vision. I don't know my plans yet for early access. It really depends on like how complete it is when they release it. But they did the same thing with DOS 2, so it's not like I'm super surprised about it. But yeah, I can't wait, dude. I mean, the thing that the takeaway that I tried to convince chat to kind of follow with this stuff is it's totally fine to have your own opinions about this game. But what I kept seeing over and over is people trying to like defend Larian. Like someone would be like, it's not enough Baldur's Gate 3 for me. And then someone would be like, well, actually, and they'd like try to defend Larian against it. Like, it's fine for people to have their own very rooted opinions about this. This is a huge iconic franchise. It was going to happen. So just let people feel however they do. It's a long way off from being here. We can all experience it when it comes out and comes into early access and make our opinions of it as a game at that point, instead of just like making these hugely opinionated vocal mirror, tirades about just design decisions, which is all we've seen so far. And I can't wait, dude. Personally, it looks awesome.
Yeah.
It looks really good.
For me, the most exciting thing, and Zeke, I think you might even be interested in this just because of the fact that it's in there. Like, if you've played 5th edition D&D, you know how to play this game. Like it is.
Yeah.
It's like Co mentioned, like he puts the thing. He gets into combat and he's up on like an elevated stair and he uses the push command, like the push skill, to push this guy off the ledge and he goes flying off onto the ground. Like it is
and the
5th
throw
edition.
thing.
Yeah, and they have throw, they have everything.
So many times, like somebody, I can just imagine somebody in an actual D&D game be like, well, what do I have on me? I take my boot off and I throw it at the enemy.
Yeah.
And it's like, to see them actually do that, it's kind of like, you know, there's like going to be a lot more freedom than players are used to because of this kind of this D&D feel that Larian's trying to root into the game. And that's awesome. I imagine there's going to be some very interesting things that not only weren't shown, but that no one's really thought about yet, just given all the tools that Larian seems to be giving the player.
Right.
It's great.
Yeah. It seems very cool. Like cantrips are in there, Zeke. Like if you play a high elf, you get if you've played 5th edition, you know every rule of this game, basically.
Right, yeah.
Like character creation. If you play a high elf, you get to pick one cantrip, like that type of stuff. It's all there. It's crazy.
One other thing to mention, there was and thank you, chat, for reminding me of this. There was a huge amount of people that were very frustrated that they reused some assets from DOS 2 in this.
Oh, really? I didn't catch that.
Yes, the super important thing to remember is this is a pre-alpha. And anytime a company is throwing together a demo or something like that, they normally do something called gray boxing, which is where they just put in like literally placeholder assets, like squares or something. Pantheon is doing a lot of gray boxing with their stuff right now. The fact that there's a lot of replayed stuff in this does not mean that's final. It doesn't mean they're going to use it in the main game. They actually were pretty public about the fact that they want to give it its own feel and everything. So I would not think that's a huge deal. I wouldn't latch on to that and be like, well, it's clearly DOS 3 because of what we've seen. I have a feeling it's going to get its own flavor real quick. I mean, if anything, Wizards of the Coast is going to really want this game to differentiate itself, especially after the feedback. So yeah, I really wouldn't. It's way too early to judge a game on that kind of stuff.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. I think for me, the only like early access just irks me. And I know that that's how Larian has made their other 2 games, but this isn't their other 2 games. That's what keeps getting in my mind is like, this is Baldur's Gate 3. I really wish it was playable when it was done, not playable when it's able to be played. Like that's kind of how I look at early access. They don't need additional funding from early access to sell. Like,
yeah, I was going to say, to kind of add
they
to your
shouldn't, at
point,
least.
the other games were primarily early access because they wanted to give backers stuff.
Yeah.
And there's no backers for Baldur's Gate 3. So it is an interesting decision, but at the same time, they are trying to make it pretty clear that the feedback and the general reception of the early access could potentially shape some of the development. So, I mean, maybe it'll end up being a good thing. We'll have to see.
To me, early access, especially with a game like this, where I'm already in, like I'm already invested, I will already play this. Early access is the equivalent of someone putting the fucking greatest looking chocolate cake on the kitchen table, but saying, you could eat this, but this thing is actually going to get better the more that you don't eat it. So if you just let it sit there, it's going to become the greatest chocolate cake of all time. But you can't touch it at all if you do that, because then you're going to be ruining it. So don't touch the cake.
Say, though,
but hey, $30. The cake
Why
is
do you pick something that like gets better with age, like a wine or something like that?
Because the cake is more entertaining, and everyone eats cake. Not everyone drinks wine.
Okay,
that's where my
the
mind
only
went.
kind of big downside here, though, and this is honestly one of the biggest concerns I have for this, is going to be the spoilers.
Yes, that too.
Like,
exactly.
I'm really worried if this turns out to be one of those stories that has lots of twists and turns and big reveals. Like, it may be the kind of thing where we're going to have to play early access, or we're going to get Fallout Forward, where it's like
streamers,
even get a chance to play it. Oh yeah, for sure, dude. Like, everyone knew the ending to Fallout 4 before most people even opened the game for the first time.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting. Like, maybe what I'm really hoping is that maybe Larian is going to be super coy with big reveals, and like, you know, maybe black screen or not show or purposefully mislead or something kind of interesting like that. But yeah, we'll have to see, man. We'll have to see.
Yeah,
this definitely has a couple of things that is enticing to me. That I think the reason why I didn't get into the other Baldur's Gates were these couple of reasons. Turn-based, right? That's new.
Yes. For Co, you're gonna have to help me here. I don't want to say so. This is
For
new for Baldur's Gate, right? Because Baldur's Gate was
Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 are called RW. well, what is it? RTWP, real time with pause.
Okay,
the
there you
same
go.
thing that like Pathfinder Kingmaker was and things like
Okay.
that. So basically, it's broken down to where a set segment of time is like a turn, and then all the abilities and stuff are kind of based around that.
Yeah.
This is
Okay.
just straight up turn based. So you take your time every turn. There's no real time in any way. The only
Okay.
kind of slightly real time that happens is the combat is done in you can kind of think of them as like domes. So whenever combat is enacted, all the people in that combat are in a dome. And then if you have a player character outside of it, the dome is paused and you can run that character out. And until you run that character under the dome, they're not part of the combat and they can kind of free function. It's the same thing that they did in DOS 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the second thing is, it looks like the voice act, like there's much more voice acting in this than in previous versions of Baldur's Gate. Is that correct, or am I off on that?
I think so.
Baldur's Gate, the original Baldur's
It's
Gate had
old.
some voice acting, but not near. Like I'm pretty sure they're going to go DOS 2 with this one.
It
I'm not
seems like
100%,
it.
but have they announced full voice acting? For
I don't know if
BG3?
it's full, but
Why not?
everything that we saw here was voice acted. So I would imagine it's going to be, if not completely full, it's going to be close to it. I don't know if they talked.
Well, they
about
have
that.
said fully voice acting. Great.
Okay, good.
Perfect.
Good.
Awesome.
Okay.
There you go.
Yeah, Baldur's Gate came out.
Those
and-
definitely two things are I'm really excited about is the actual turn based and the fully voice acted. That's going to be great because Baldur's Gate. The reason why I didn't get into it is because it was a daunting task to read all of that stuff on stream,
Totally.
and stuff like that. I missed it when it first came out, so I had like there were some barriers there, but also like the way you moved around and the combat stuff. I don't know. I didn't really jive with it. But when you say turn based, like that is something I can actually. That's not turn based with pause or whatever, because there's a mental difference like when you're playing a game like that.
Well, there's less stress, I think, is for a streamer, like you can take a sec and read out a chat comment and then go back to like figuring out if you want to fireball this guy or whatever. Yeah, that type of stuff. With Baldur's Gate, you can pause. It's kind of the same, but it's not the same at all.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's kind of the similar, but it's not the same.
Yeah. So, yeah, I want to see more. Obviously, we'll see more. They said that what was it? That the early access will be out by the end of 2020. Was their tagline? Like you will be able to play this game by the end of 2020.
Early access is supposed to be out at some point this year, theoretically.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. It looks cool though. And shout out to Larian / Vin, the guy that was playing this. He could not save. It was a bug. So in this particular fight that you're watching here, the first one that gets into, he dies and has to restart the demo.
I actually really like that. Though.
I like it a lot, yeah, because it shows that they're not afraid to put out. It shows that they're not afraid to put out an early access game. Is really what I was reinforced by that. But there were just bugs, around everything in this game, and they weren't afraid to show it. So
it was also really cool to see like the two completely different ways that he approached the fight, and like one of them basically got him steamrolled. Let's be blunt. And then the other one, he basically had a perfect victory. And it's kind of like when he was done with the second fight, I was almost like, was this planned? Like that there was such a discrepancy between the two different ways that he did it that it actually really boded well for the show. Unfortunately, for those that didn't see it, he did get a super mean bug right at the end.
Yes.
And basically he tried to zone out of his zone in combat and the game kept throwing him in and out of combat and they didn't get to show the big finale because of it.
Yeah.
And I still kind of wish that they would just kind of release like a 5-minute video being like, this is what we wanted to show you. Cause it sounded awesome. Like he said he was going to feed with the vampire and like there had to be a roll to see if it would kill the player he was feeding on and like all this super interesting stuff. And
yeah.
Man. Zeke, I really hope we get to see that one day.
I do too. Zeke, the other thing that we didn't really talk about, but much like 5th edition
they
D&D,
did.
Oh, did they actually put that out? Oh, okay.
Oh, I'm gonna.
It's in the press footage, but it's not like an officially released thing. It's in press
footage.
Okay.
Okay.
Gotcha.
I'd love to see it, so I'll take a look for it. Thanks, Cam.
Yeah. Cool. Zeke, when you do important dice rolls, there's first of all there's saving throws for death. So when you're down, you have to make saving throws. It's 5th edition. When you make important dice rolls, the little D20 shows up in the center of the screen and it like rolls and it shows your success threshold right above it. So like if the DC is whatever, then it shows that. Like it looks pretty cool in that regard because it's straight up 5th edition. They've got all those mechanics in. So as someone that's playing 5th edition for a super long time, it's one of those things where you're like, look, it's the thing things in there. Like they've got the dice roll for that type of stuff. So it's cool to see. It's cool to see.
I'd be curious to see like how inventive, because one of my favorite things in D&D has always been how inventive you can get with like skills and spells and stuff like that, meaning the not necessarily intended out or purpose for the spell.
Yeah.
Like I remember back in the day we could use like the grease spell not only to like put grease on the ground, but I could also like target like somehow the handle of a weapon or something and like grease the handle so we would like have trouble like holding it or something like that. Like just inventive ways to use spells. And
here's
stuff
a
like
perfect example of what they do. And Divinity kind of did a lot of this, but there's a fight with skeletons. You see a bunch of skeletons on the ground. They're not actually alive yet, right? They haven't been reincarnated or whatever. He goes around to each of those skeletons' bodies before the fight starts and takes their weapons. The fight starts, they all fight barehanded.
So
he did make the important distinction though. He did make the important thing is that right now the AI isn't in the game.
Right.
But when the game is live, when those skeletons go active, they will actually see the weapons on the ground and go and pick them up before engaging.
Yeah.
So there is going to be, unless of course you were to pocket them.
Yeah.
But that being said, they will like look around and try to pick up a weapon, and before they like, if they can be more powerful, they will try to get more powerful.
Yeah, and they're doing the same all with Divinity Original Sin, all the environmental things working together. So like if you cast grease, then you throw fire on that grease, it ignites. Or if you cast fire and you throw water on that, it creates like smoke or fog or whatever, right? So all of that stuff will be in there too from Divinity Original Sin.
What would be interesting is if in a situation like with a skeleton, you could somehow steal somebody's weapon and then say drop a cursed weapon near them.
Right.
And then they run up and all of a sudden they're like poisoning themselves every time they attack or something.
Yeah.
That could be really fun.
It's definitely the fun thing of, I hope that when this game comes out, full release, early access, whatever, that we're all playing it and we all just like, we look at one fight and we just show how all three of us did the fight completely different. Like that would be, that's the type of stuff that gets me excited for this type of game.
Yeah, man.
So we'll see how it goes. That, and I'll make this joke a second time, so I apologize to my community. Zeke, we can finally get Max to learn how to play 5th edition. You know, we'll just get him to play this game. You know?
I mean,
maybe not.
You say that. You
don't think it'll commit to memory? It might. I guess we'll have to see. We'll see.
I'm just waiting for him to start playing this game and go like, okay, how do I swing my weapon?
What do I roll to attack, Adam?
Yeah.
Max, we've been playing for 4 years. Oh, Lord. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. What else was out there? Kind of a big week for at least Baldur's Gate and Final Fantasy. Some games are starting to have news and things are starting to come out is really the big thing.
Nioh 2 just around the corner. Doom Eternal after that. Ori. Went out. Oh, man.
I guess you guys are probably not super interested in it, but Riot shooter Valorant was shown.
They just canceled the big event.
What do you mean?
They were bringing out a bunch of streamers and stuff to watch it apparently, and they had to cancel it. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Really looking forward to that. Wanted to hear people's opinions on it.
Yeah. It looks, let me see if I can pull up some footage of it. It looks, I don't know. It's weird. It looks like,
I honestly think,
go ahead. You put your thoughts out there while I try to find some
Lawbreakers, man.
Really? You'd put it in the same vein as Lawbreakers?
I mean, it's the thing is I think it's a Lawbreakers style game where they're just trying to kind of me to it, but at the same time, it's Riot. So, and maybe they'll be able to do like, kind of like YouTube does with their streaming, where they can just like put it in enough places where people might be interested that they may be able to get a following. But at the same time, you know, and that alone may be enough. Like just the fact that it's Riot means that they honestly may be able to release like near anything and at least get it to a popular level as long as it's well made and working well. But at the same time, it's kind of like the game itself, from what I've seen, and to be fair, I'm not an experienced in this genre. You guys know don't really do a lot of the stuff. But from what I've seen, I mean, nothing I saw made me go like, oh, this is the future of this. Right. You know what I mean? Nothing was like, oh, this is it. Like they got this is a shoe in, you know, like, I don't know, man. I saw a lot of things that made me go like, this has been done before.
Yes, they're not making anything new, at least in the footage that they've shown. I mean, they are, but it's like you have to know what's old to know that it's new. It's not just new, I guess is how I would put that. Like, you have to know the roots of where this comes from. But yes, it is very much Zeke, a CSGO Overwatch.
CSGO Overwatch.
Yeah, it is very much that.
That's a good way to say it.
And
the apex of CSGO Overwatch.
Yeah, for me, the biggest thing is someone who has played CSGO, not a lot of CSGO, but probably 100 hours or so in my lifetime, not necessarily recently or anything like that. So all the hardcore CSGO people, Scott, I know you're probably getting a twinge out there somewhere in the universe. Calm down. I don't know how you do CSGO with abilities that doesn't just straight up have like a steamroll effect and something that is a round-based shooter. Because if I get rewarded for kills by getting more abilities, does that not inherently mean that I will just win the next round no matter what? Like, save rounds or something that I would like. I want to see, I guess what I'm saying ultimately is I want to see how the economy of this game works, because it's an important factor in CSGO in terms of how the economy of that game works. Because adding abilities to that just seems fucking crazy.
And also, it's been weird because I've seen a lot of people talk about how it's like, oh man, this may be what kills CSGO. And it's kind of like, do you really think any class-based game is going to do away with CSGO?
No.
Like it's so, in my opinion, it's not somebody who does this a lot, but as someone who enjoys watching these types of games every so often, it is so much more entertaining to me when everyone I'm watching is on the same level. When everybody has the same gear and the access to the same weaponry and the same loadouts, like, then it really comes down to, it's like, oh, that person is better than that person. But in something like this, I mean, the class and having the classes and having, different matchups and different players going against different classes and stuff, it kind of adds this whole almost RNG element in a lot of ways that just kind of takes out some of the skill.
Yeah.
So at least, and again, layman talking here.
Yeah.
But it just, as somebody who watches these kind of passively, so much more interesting to watch everyone on an even playing.
I mean, in a lot of ways, the success is this.
Yes, I am just old, to answer chat. I'm just old.
The success of this game lies in people like yourself, Code, not the hardcore, right? Like,
yeah,
League of Legends is successful because so many fucking people have played that game, because it's easy to approach and it's easy to understand. And it's not something that, I was about to say, it's not something that people get upset about, but that's just a completely stupid statement to say, because everyone gets upset about League. But the idea, the hope of the developers is that they can understand why they died, because it's easily approachable enough, and it's not like Co was saying RNG based. But yeah, they only put out 3 minutes of it. I know that there's been a bunch more like footage or gameplay that people have had, and there's obviously extensive amounts of information out there. So if you want more, I would go seek that out and find the quote experts on it, not 3 white people with terrible, white people doesn't even factor into this. 3 old gamers that don't necessarily play FPSs all the time. Sorry, I'm in a political mindset because I just watched CNN all day. So it was all, well, the white person vote was blah, blah, blah. I don't know where that came up from.
Yeah, I just watched a documentary about dancing birds, so I'm just like, I'm thinking about that angle now. Like, I wonder if those colors would attract a mate.
It's what you bring into the show. That's what you bring into the show. Anyways, we'll see. It's piqued my interest. I'm curious to see how it goes. My first impression, Zeke, much like Zeke was, it is CSGO Overwatch. My second impression was, why don't I just play CSGO instead? And that's going to be a thing that they're going to have to get past, I think, that they're going to struggle with potentially, is like, there's a game that's already mastered what we're trying to do, not necessarily with abilities. So how do we combat people?
Not only that, a game that's mastered it, and people still will leave the games they're currently playing to go back and play that game, like today.
Yeah.
So that's a stranglehold, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
Well, I will say that, I mean, just for someone who is absolutely not even, my toe is not even dipped in that world. I was enticed to play Overwatch, but I've never played CSGO ever.
And
I think it seems like Overwatch was more accessible.
Sure.
for the non FPS
Gurus.
centralized player. And I maybe I mean this looks actually it does look more accessible to someone who like I can fill a role in the class based stuff.
Yeah, that's true. Or at least your role as a parent is maybe a better way of saying that, right? Like you know what you could possibly do. Like you can go play a support character because there's a support character. There's not the same guns that are available to everyone else. Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. We're still, I'm sure, a couple months out, couple weeks, definitely a couple months out from actually seeing that in a constant real time.
One thing I'm super interested about is it looks so similar, and I mean even the gameplay and the class stuff is so similar to Overwatch. I wonder what it's going to do to Overwatch. Like I wonder if this is the kind of thing where, you know, every so often they talk about a game killer. Like I'm kind of curious, like could that actually happen in a situation like this with someone as big as Riot kind of like elbowing into what to basically Overwatch's territory right now? And I mean they just had this, I don't want to call it a failure, but they just had this massive, you know, kind of like didn't really work out on Twitch and now it's going to YouTube. We'll see how it does there. You know, I'm curious. And if Riot kind of walks in and it's just like big tournaments and we're doing them everywhere and blah, 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 you know, so Overwatch's going to be like, oh.
Yeah. It's
or is they're going to try to keep up? Or are they going to like super amp it up to try to compete? I don't know, man. It'll be wild. It'll be wild.
It'll be a lot of fun.
Overwatch is dead already, though. A lot of chat is saying, yeah.
I mean, I think it still does pretty well, like the amount of people
it just had a huge deal with, you know, one of the biggest streaming deployment platforms. So it's certainly not dead, but maybe on the way out. We'll see.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I just want to see what happens when that game does come out, right? Because you know what happens to Overwatch. Like they're going to continue putting money into it, right? They've already sunk so much money into that thing that at some point it's too big for them to let it fail. They've invested too much into it to let it fail.
Last thing I'll say about it, I am in all of my years of gaming, in all of the games that I have seen come and go, I am almost completely convinced that from everything I've seen, that if Valorant were to have been released by an indie dev or something similar, that it would go the way of Battleborn. Like if it was not Riot behind Valorant, I am pretty sure it would be almost nothing from what I've seen.
I would agree with that. Yeah. Because I mean, it's when you introduce that, like I think when we just introduced it to Zeke, it's Valorant from Riot Games. Oh, the League of Legends guys? Yeah. Oh, okay, that game will do well. Right?
Exactly.
That's how that goes.
Oh, cool. They're making Solitaire
that's
too.
What happens when you have like infinite money and you put it like in the thing? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Exactly.
Speaking of that, like talking about Overwatch because we haven't spoken about it in a while.
Yeah.
Makes me think of the other games that we used to like that were super hyped. Like, what about like is PUBG still like being played and
I think it's massive in Korea/China. I think PUBG is like the biggest.
Made an interesting transition to other countries and mobile.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, believe it or not, PUBG mobile is kind of a huge thing. It's not like it's not nearly as big as it was like on Twitch and in places like that, but it's laying its own groundwork in other countries and other platforms.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's definitely big. For sure. We got about
Tarkov has exploded lately in some ways, but they're so different. It's hard to compare Tarkov to like BRs. It's not really not the same. There's no esport. There's no competition in Tarkov really.
And hopefully
outside of
like
like
not ever
for fun tournaments and stuff. So it's.
I'm wondering if has Tarkov like the effects of certain games like PUBG, CS:GO, like that kind of stuff. Has Tarkov made a career for a few people yet? Like that you can point out?
I mean,
like, you didn't know about before Tarkov, and then they're like, boom,
yes,
they're here because of Tarkov.
There are streamers.
I mean,
for sure.
Yeah, there's been some Pestily is a huge streamer. Sacriel, phenomenal streamer. He's seen a crazy amount of success.
He was pretty successful to begin with,
but
now
he's though. Yeah, I'm talking about.
Like, he was pretty established, but now he is like
he's like
and on Twitch like most days.
Yeah,
like,
he's tripled,
really exploded,
tripled if not quadrupled sub numbers. Like that's how big the game has been for him.
And there's been a lot of the regular Tarkov streamers that were doing like mid hundreds to very low thousands are now they'll log on and be like 2,500, 3,000, like real respectable numbers. and all they do is play Tarkov. Tarkov has, because of the Twitch drop thing, they brought so many new eyes to their directory that they essentially established themselves on Twitch through that drop program.
Yeah.
And now there are literally tens of thousands of viewers that are watching Tarkov every day that wouldn't have been here since before that drops thing. So yeah, it was a really smart move. I think they mentioned they're going to be doing something similar again, and it's kind of like these guys have figured it out in a lot of ways. That stuff.
For sure. They're doing well, without a doubt. We got about 10 minutes. I can fit in some words here about the Nioh 2 demo. I think you both, Zeke, I think you should play Nioh 2.
Damn, just looking at this, it's so beautiful.
I think you should play Nioh 2, Zeke.
Oh, I played Nioh 1. I'll play Nioh 2.
Okay.
But I'll play it like well after everybody's done jerking off about it.
Man. I
thought you went axe.
So the hammer and axe is the same thing. It's the same weapon, but I think the hammer has higher stun or like break or some weird stat that I can't speak intelligently about because there's so many systems in this game. This game, especially for the demo, like completely floods you with just a surplus of information. Like, why did that gravestone come alive? Well, there's a guy on the map that makes that thing come alive, apparently. So that's a cool new thing that it'll just randomly raise other players' avatars and make you fight them until you kill that guy. Great. There's so many different mechanics in this game that I'm trying to remember I don't remember it being as complex as it was in this last demo that it was in the first one that I played. Did they have the burst rush do you remember that mechanic? R2 circle?
Yeah, the big thing they had was like the living weapons. They did have the burst stuff in the other one. Also, I think that dude you're talking about may have been a Nioh one.
Was he in the
little
first
dude
one?
with the little guitar thing,
Yes.
and he would like.
Was it?
Yeah,
okay,
yeah. He was in the first one, but he was rare. Like
Okay.
he was far in the game.
He's a motherfucker.
Yes, he is. Oh God, yes, he is.
He's an asshole.
Yeah, completely. But no, they've added a ton of new mechanics in this one. Even from I didn't play the most recent demo, but the demo before that, they definitely had the new stuff on the bosses, especially with the burst thing and having to time that properly and work all that out. And yeah, then you have to link that with the living weapons stuff, and it's just they're really going. The burst cancel was a thing.
Yes,
they're really kind of taking it to the next level with Nioh 2. Looks good.
They have so many different things. I'm also curious to see like how the actual difficulty of the full game is, because demos are always a little bit weird in this game because the levels, they don't tell you where these levels are going to be in the full game. So I don't know by the time I get to this point if my character will be the same level in terms of the skills that I've acquired both as a player and within the game to make some of this stuff easier. To spoil a little bit about this fight, this is a 3-tier fight. You fight 2 guys, then 1 big demon, then the full boss. And there's no checkpoints. You just have to fight them. And it was kind of challenging. Like, it was not a cakewalk to go through that stuff. And so I don't know if by the time I get to this, I'll have more tools to deal with it, or if this is just going to be super early in the game or what.
Dude, speaking of the devs though, and their okayness on completely destroying the player, a lot of the final content in Nioh 1 was just they would take 2 incredibly hard bosses and stick them next to each other.
Right.
So it's kind of like, now you can fight both at once. Yay!
Right.
So I'm only imagining what the Nioh 2 guys are going to have in store as we get close to the end of this one. Like, yeah, and looking at these guys, like just the first 2 dudes look hard as hell. Like they're attacking fast. They have big sweeping attacks. They're attacking at different times, so their timing gets messed up. Like, yeah, this is going to be a thing, man.
They do a lot of damage, but they also take a lot of damage. Like I just hit that guy once and he's at half HP. And so that was the other thing. And then I just got hit in 3 attacks. That was one of the other things that I think differentiates this from kind of the Soulsborne world. In Dark Souls, when you get a weapon, you know that weapon's move set, and it's usually 2 or 3 buttons, maybe with like a special attack if you hold the button down or something like this. In this game, there is so much to learn, and it is not button mashing. Like it.
Dance dancing, man.
Yeah, I like it too, and I knew this was true in Nioh 1, but luckily I found a playstyle that I didn't necessarily have to stance dance with this hammer. I just put it in hide stance and use the same kind of 3 or 4 attacks. But I liken this to more of a fighting game, Soulsborne style, because there's so many different things, and if you do learn how to use every single mechanic, you're parrying, you're going from mid stance to high stance, which then gives you a buff, but it also has a certain combo to it. And then you're like
key pulsing.
Yeah, you're key pulsing on top of all of that. And when you key pulse, depending on what items you have, you can get a special buff from that gives you more damage, or that gives you a higher burst counter regen, and blah, 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 blah. Like there's so many mechanics in this game, and mastering all those. When you watch a really good player play this and a really bad player, it's going to look like night and day. Like it's truly going to be evident.
And then on top of all that, you have the customizable gear system, the set bonuses, the way that you make your weapon work with those set bonuses, the living weapons in that system. It's like this is going to be an extremely complex game.
Yes.
And there's going to be hundreds of different ways. Like I can only imagine, like Nioh 1 had crazy different builds that came out of it. I'm sure it's only going to be even crazier in this one.
Yeah. And not to mention, on top of all of that, there's also the yokai spirits, which you have one. And then when you kill yokai, they drop their move sets, and bosses drop their move sets that you can then trigger to use in the fight as well, on top of your actual weapon. And it like gets astronomical in terms of everything that you're having to keep in your brain at once. And by the end of like the 5 or 6 hours that I played of the demo, which was only 3 levels, 2 actual like walking around levels and 1 just straight up boss fight, I kind of had a slight grasp on what was happening. But it's the type of thing where, you know, I'm going to put like 30 hours into this and just understand my singular weapon. It may be. So
yep.
It's definitely the type of thing where you find a weapon you like, and then you only use that weapon because everything else is an entire thing to learn.
World away. It might as well be a different game at that point. Like there's so much new stuff to learn and so many new things to customize and change.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm planning on doing too. Like figuring out what weapon I want to use at the beginning, like picking a few aspects of that weapon, and then just making that the best I can. Like make a few decisions and then take that as far as possible.
Yeah.
That's the plan. Yep.
And
well, I really hope that they don't do a Bloodborne where you spend the entire game sinking all of your points and aspects and like into a certain stat, and they barely ever fucking use it.
So
like, I hope there's not something like that in this game.
There are entire skill trees devoted to ninjutsu and magic. It's called Onmyo or something like that. Magic.
And there is a weapon called the Switch Axe that scales damage based on your magic stat.
Yes.
So the actual weapon, like your melee weapon, gets more powerful, and I think it, like the high stance, it switches the weapon type when you go through the stances, unlike other weapons. So a high stance is like a scythe. In the mid stance, it like curves the blade around the handle, so you have like a bladed staff kind of deal. And then the low one does something different. So yeah, it switch glaive. Thank you. Is that what it's called? Switch glaive? I forgot the name. Thank you. But yeah, it looks nuts, dude.
That enemy design, though, God, everything is designed so well.
Zeke, when you beat this guy, you get him as a summon, and he does that giant sword attack. You can then do that whenever you get enough key or whatever.
Wait a minute, summon?
Spirit energy.
Well, I call it a summon. It's basically your yokai ability, one of 2.
Okay.
And you can tie that to your yokai spirit. We're getting real jargony here. Which then as you attack enemies, or as you I think maybe take damage, your meter builds up, and once you get to like 7 of 10, then you can use that ability, and then it goes back to 0.
Okay.
And it's pretty frequent as well. So you can, like, I use
multiple times per fight.
Yeah, I use the yokai abilities 2 or 3 times in this fight. I don't think I end up killing. Yeah, I died real quick, but I end up killing him pretty soon because I just, in the sense of playing the game, not that it was premeditated or planned, I did like a combo, and then at the end of that combo, I did a yokai ability, which then did even more damage because it was at the end of that combo. And so you're going to be like learning how to link all that stuff, and they're all super different and super varied.
Okay.
where you'll get things that like have a gun that where a little demon guy brings a gun and shoots a gun, or a guy that has a giant hammer that does a flip and like lands a hammer attack, or that boss ability where he has a giant lunge attack with a sword. So yeah, it's looking really good. It's looking super good. So that comes out.
It does. Looks great.
9 days. And it's probably going to be very long. I remember the first one was like 40 hours, right, Co?
Yep, and a lot of side content.
Yeah, it was pretty long. So
It's gonna be good.
It's looking pretty good. I think I see Troy getting into the call, so we're gonna take our break. We'll get Troy into the mix and start letting Zeke interview him. Zeke's gonna do all the questions. He's gonna carry the interview. He's gonna do it all.
Don't. I wasn't prepared for that. I was prepared for a third of it.
Okay. All right, we're going to take a break here on Drop Frames. We'll be right back, and we'll be joined by the one and only Troy Baker. So we'll see you guys right after this break in about 5 or 6 minutes. We got to get some stuff set up, so stand by. We'll see you then.